Before I begin, living on the unceded Kwantlen traditional territory. I am, as well as we all should be, actively trying to decolonize my work and thought process, and support bringing indigeneity into education of every level. Please actively help restore this land and its people. Canada's racism is nothing to be ignored. What do you want to accomplish in your life? What are you willing to do to achieve those accomplishments? Creating art and being a maker takes a psychological toll on you because you give pieces of yourself to the art that you create to be released into a whole world of ideologies and practices. When art is put out into the world, it no longer belongs to the artist, but the viewers. Critique will pour over your creations like spicy honey, sweet and smooth with a bit of pain. With critique comes growth. Growth can be defined in many words, but within an art practice, this means listening to the world around you and reacting to it, creating a conversation with it, giving people a path to look through to understand the deeper side of our spiritual lives. We depend on critique to grow as artists and should accept it humbly. Art is an ever-growing, ever-learning, ever-evolving mass that gains knowledge and experience by the minute, and this is all thanks to our wonderful use of critique. How do we critique others? Ourselves? We do it daily as a way of upholding our vision of what the perfect self can be. We critique our skin, our hair, our mannerisms, the way we treat others, the way others treat us, or perhaps the way a piece of art approaches you. When I was younger, every summer I would go to a ballet school with a very old Russian ballet teacher, and she would give me a correction and say, "How possible you do," meaning that she wanted me to do the correction to the best of my current ability. She once told me that if a master of an art practice picks at you with corrections, it is a very lucky thing, because this master has shown interest in you and is giving you a critique. I continued studying ballet with that mentality, and later applied it when I began taking art classes. This mindset carried me through many trials of my art practice, including many critique classes. Daily I go for walks, just to clear my mind and think about how I can improve my work, what details I can finesse. Creation can be born from movement, and walking is embodied presence in motion, presence at once with ourselves and with the world, inner and outer, an active presence of body and mind. Being present in the action of critique is a crucial aspect to its success. How can you either give or receive a proper critique without being fully present within the work and the movement within the fluid creation of your piece? Most of the time, walking is merely practical. The unconsidered locomotive means between two sites. To make walking into an investigation, a ritual, a meditation, is a special subset of walking. Physiologically, like, and philosophically, unlike, the way the mail carrier brings the mail and the office worker reaches the train. I believe that accepting constructive criticism is necessary for art to grow. You cannot fix a sickle foot without being taught how to properly utilize the muscles, as you cannot paint without first being shown how to use a brush. Many people, however, become easily offended by criticism towards their artwork. An artist must keep in mind that once your art is released to the world, it no longer belongs to you. Within critique sessions, the two common complaints of students about their experiences of critiques are having been embarrassed in front of their classmates by instructors, or leaving critiques discouraged rather than motivated to make more art. I want to live in a world where, through politics, art, and social lives, we can take criticisms and grow instead of lash out and deny how small we really are. Could you imagine an artist taking note of every criticism given within a critique and building up those skills to one day solidify their practice? Could you imagine if political parties address issues and flaws and actually mend them? Or your friend who hurt your ego, and you come to later thank them? I want critique to be successful. I want critique to be robust. I want to gain every inch of knowledge I can so that I can grow as big as I can. I believe that for every single artist, critique is necessary in order to grow. I want a world where critique is welcomed and coveted, not overshadowed by ego. I want an art world where I can give my colleagues constructive criticism and have them accept it with open arms. I want a world where my colleagues can give me fully fleshed out critique without worrying they'll hurt my ego. And then we grow. How do you push? How do you push something and move it, change it, without breaking it? Do you push the vase along the shelf, or do you feel like there is a fine line where it will fall off and shatter? In art, we focus on critique as an act of skill sharing and construction feedback to peers and from peers for advancement of technique and art skill. Critique is an effective activity young artists routinely use to assess and advance their creative projects. Many times, if not every time, several people will become upset at the comments, feeling attacked and in awe that someone would actually point out a flaw and give advice on how to increase that ability. Often the act of criticism will hurt the ego, and the artist goes into a state of crisis. Boris Burden says that an act of crisis almost necessarily implies the awareness of a crisis, and vice versa. A diagnosis of crisis implies the necessity of criticism. The structure of the art world could not withstand the pressure of the ego if we did not carry criticism through our labor. I would not know how to start drawing the pupil first to establish the darkest point of the eye before shading